I'm gonna finish this. When I want to finish a track, the first thing I always gonna do is move on from the loop that I've created. So let's say you are stuck in your loop. What you have to do is to copy the elements that you have and just paste it throughout your track. A good idea is also to have a reference track. What I do is I always put it in the beginning of the whole project. I keep it in around the same tempo so you can start to actually build your track from that reference track. What I do is I just solo the reference track, and while I'm listening to it, I actually build my track. So I'm listening, okay, what is going on now? We have kicks, hats, snares. Okay, I add kicks, hats, snares, that's it. Oh, there was a small break. I'll keep a section of that, maybe 1 bar of a break, and then it goes on. Again, what do we have? Claps, whatever you have, just add it in so you know it's there. And don't think about all these creative ideas and processes that there is in the track. Just keep on going with your simple elements. And when you have copied all these elements throughout the track, you can now go back again and focus on more detailed elements in that reference track. And that could, for example, be, now you have a riser, you have a reversed kick here and there, but that's more the artist itself that has that opinion on how that should sound. So you should not copy the whole track, of course, but it's just to simplify your process. And that process is really, really helpful for me, at least. And I just want to inspire you that sits here and having trouble finishing your track. So that's a really, really good idea. And another thing that I tend to do is, when I've created a simple loop, kick, hat, snares, maybe a synth or an arpeggiator going on, I want to add some more elements, because now my ears are starting to get bored of all these elements together. So I usually just tend to add in a lot of stuff, and it's getting too complicated for me to move on with, because simply there's too much. So I tend to remove elements. I listen, what can I remove again? But you can actually just skip that process. Just keep that in mind for your next tracks. The most important thing is to actually just finish what you are doing. Keep it as simple as you can from the beginning, and really work on each sounds to sound good. And let's say only work with kick and bass, start really getting these right, and then go on and so forth. I know it's not easy, because when you add more elements, you maybe need to turn down your bass some dB or crank it up, or whatever is going to be, you're mixing, right? And another obstacle when producing music is you want to have the mix totally perfect from the beginning. You have to just accept that this mix is okay. Don't put it back and forth again like 100 times. It doesn't matter, and you will not progress. You will not finish your track in that way. So let's say that you now have copied all the elements that you have from the reference tracks. Now is you as artist going to be creative in this process from now on. So you know that you have to have an intro, right? Let's say you start from 0 and up to 33 bars. That's your intro. And from there you have first break, and you have the breakdown, and then you have your other chorus or break. So and then the outro. So you just have to move on with it and see what feels right for you. The other issue I see with finishing tracks in general is have something called self-doubt. We doubt our own work. It's like, I can do this better. It sounds like shit. When you have that feeling that this is the worst shit you have ever made, the worst thing you can do is to delete your shit. Just keep your shit on your hard drive and come back to it. And if it sounds like shit the day after or the 2 days after, it is probably shit. Another issue I see in myself when I produce music is also that I have the feeling that I don't want to finish the track in a way, because it's not fun to work with. What I like to work with is the loop, and I can continuously just listen to that. What I like to do is to force myself in a way, like to say, you know what, Stefan, you have to do this, because, so this is what I'm telling myself right now, okay? Stefan, if you don't finish this track, all what you did here is totally a waste of time. You just don't want to have it on your hard drive. You will never listen to it, and nobody else will never listen to that track. I created like a lot of tracks. In 15 years now, I've produced music. So I tend to really work on that issue. And that was the biggest issue that I had. I just had a lot of tracks on my computer, not getting them finished. And so I started to realize, you know what, that's a waste of time, actually. That's a lot of waste of time. So yeah, just do the hard process, actually. Because you have to think also, when you do the hard work, you will have the present in the end. So you just have to force yourself. And if you cannot find out how to force yourself to do something that you don't want, actually, because that's why you don't finish your tracks, is actually because you don't want to finish them in a way. So that's my belief. If you can't do it, you don't really want it enough. You have to turn that thought around. Think of it in this way: if you don't finish what you have already produced, spent so many hours producing, then it's a totally waste of time. I tell you this again, what you have on your hard drive is waste of time. To say, you know what, I'm gonna finish this. So that was the psychological part of this, but let's keep it more simple. Let's keep it more structural. So now it's about to keep it simple. So when you are working on your intro, you are working on your intro and you are finishing it. And that's it, you have to concentrate on only your damn intro. When you have finished that, you can go on. So that's another way to force you to do things. Stay on one thing and keep going on. I know it's not that easy, because when you move on in the track, you find out, oh, there are some elements there that need to be in the intro, and excuse me, and you go back and forth all the time. And when you get to that point where you're not satisfied at all with your track, just come back the other day. Seriously, that works 100%. And then you find out that your hi-hat is so damn loud. So just turn it a bit down. And also your snare is like, wow. It's so harsh in your ears, right? Just examples on what you can fix in your mix when you come back. So you have some sounds that you overdid, because when you're stuck in a loop, you tend to, sometimes I tend to really push the volume up to the red, so it's clipping almost. So yeah, just come back and see what you can do the next day. So there's also another process when you have finished your -6 dB or whatever mix down. You now have to master your track. So another issue that I learned is that I master my track and then I'm listening on other devices, for example, my portable speakers in the car and other things. So sometimes I figure out, wow, these hi-hats, they are so loud, or especially the snares can be really, really loud in your mix. So You also have to know that from experience when you master your track and when you come back in your mix. And that's a whole process in itself. So it's really good practice that you as a producer master your own tracks, because then you can learn from your mistakes more easily. And yeah, that's how I go about it. You can go into Ozone, for example, and you can do some dynamics and some exciters and stuff like that. You can just go watch tutorials on how to master a track. Maybe I will do one day. But yeah, it's a good process for you as a producer. So that's just some tips and tricks you can use to finish your track and not waste a lot of time as I did in my years. So yeah, just keep producing, get out of your loop, get out of your self-doubt process, and just move on, my friend. I know it's so easy to say, but you have to break it down in simple things. So actually a good exercise is to have a piece of paper and write things down. Also, when you listen to your track, like write it down. Oh, snares, too loud. Oh, melody, here I have a change, and blah, blah, blah. And then you are much more structured in your work, and just use that practice in your life generally. And I really hope that you could use some of these tips and tricks to finish your track. And I really like to know what you think about this, and I really also want to know how you finish your track and what are your issues. I think it's a good way to engage, and it's a good way of communicating things out so we as producers can learn from each other. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell as well. And of course, as always, I hope to see you in the next videos.